Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 6th of Feb. Now, as we come into the Asian session, you're really starting to look at the major pairs and work out where the major technical levels are. Now, if anything, just on the face of it, you can see Euro just drifting lower, breaking through a bit of support around sort of 14.30. It hasn't had a sort of massive, there's not a lot of massive confidence in getting short Euro at this stage. I've been saying it. I mean, Euro and the Eurozone looks quite messy, whereas the US, to me, even though the Fed are on some sort of pause, is much stronger. So, but the market lacks confidence to get short. Now, let me just give you a quick run through the rest of them. The Aussie, sort of bearish. Yesterday, we had some weak building approvals Monday. Retail sales yesterday, weak. The RBA statement wasn't exactly hawkish, but there was some positive numbers in there. It was the fact that the market was getting itself short, expecting some sort of comments about lower rates are a possibility. That wasn't in there, so we had the short squeeze, and now it's back at fair value at 72.30 and just trading sideways. Kiwi, sideways as well. Dollar yen, looks like the short squeeze is over for the moment, and it's back trading sideways, just around that sort of 110 level, which is probably putting a little bit of a lid on at the moment, the big round number there. Euro, I've already covered. Now, it depends on what you're reading as far as Brexit goes or sterling. Now, sterling, they're saying, it's on a technical breach. Now, this is all like headlines, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little bit confusing. Once again, sterling, trade volume down. A lot of traders are staying away from it because it doesn't make sense. And the only movements are occurring around random announcements. And some of those aren't even true. Now, oil, you know, the wind has been sucked out of the down sales in this puppy. Oil back to 53.70 after topping out around 55.60. Now, it hasn't really gone far. We know the CAD fundamentals are weak, which would suggest it goes up. Oil has been strong, which pushes it down. And then we're missing the main ingredient, the US data, which is making it a little bit tricky, and that's why it's trading sideways as far as I can tell. Now, if you just come across to the see what's going on the US dollar index itself. Okay, it's slowly climbing up. It's not exactly setting the house on fire, but it is on a very short-term perspective going up. Now, if I widen that out once again, this chart, you'll see exactly what's going on. It's actually just trading sideways. And this is despite what all the excitement is around in the media, you know, saying dollar, you know, rallying, etc. Well, you know what? It's just trading sideways in a bigger range. So don't get overly excited yet. We need more US data to give the dollar direction. The offshore yuan, dollar yuan, well, interestingly, that resistance line held up around 6.78. We did see a drop yesterday. Now, there's talk here as well. Now, just starting to pop into the headlines, possibility of trade talks and, you know, what the discussion is going to be around. That's where we're going to see some sort of activity on that US-China trade issue, and we may see some movement in the dollar yuan. But at this stage, any sort of movement's lower. I suspect that's the People's Bank of China capping it. But you know, like this opportunity down here, we will get a good setup here in the next few days, next week, where we can take some good cash out of dollar yuan again. All right, now equity markets, just having a quick squeeze here. Once again, there's no. I'll flick over to the news in a second. But all that talk, you know, when you see the equity markets move, they're like worries about global growth. When the equity markets are up, they're like global growth's back on track. It's a whole heap of crap, right? You just got to understand what's real and what's not. So if I just flick you over here, you come back to the news and you start to see once again the media outlets are struggling for some substantial news because there's no US data for them to report. No real major changes from the central bank. So it's all back to hobbity-gobbity. Trump pushes border war fight ahead of speech. Dollar firm as traders eye Trump's State of the Union address. I don't think so. I think that's just euro and sterling falling. That's why the dollar's up, not because of this speech. Dollar CAD weakens as oil prices pull back. It hasn't really moved at all. Technical sell-off in sterling, that doesn't look true either. This one here is the one news article which does make sense. Australian dollar rebounds as RBA shoos away the doves. Yeah, that's right. They were expecting dovish comments, didn't get it. Aussie rallies. It's going to be interesting to see how the Aussie plays out because the data has all been quite weak. then you look at this one here, Swiss franc weakens to 12-week low as carry trades rise. Well, that's a bit of crap as well. It's just slightly edging up, and that's not enough for me to particularly get excited about. And if I bring you back over to the MyFX Trading Hub, you'll start to see that there's, it's the devil in the detail. Understanding what the media is giving you and understanding what's going on. So what I'm talking about is, and I'll come back and summarize everything, is looking at the overall major currency pair outlook. This has not changed again from yesterday, right? The short-term hourlies, yeah, there's a little bit of a tweak here and there, but overall, the outlook for these pairs is not there, right? So it's not that clear. Dollar yen and dollar CAD almost back into a sideways movement. Kiwi is the one pair that is holding on to that upward sort of bullish momentum at this stage, but it is declining as well. So we're back into a stage where we're waiting for the fundamentals to give us the direction. And that's these puppies over here. Now, today we do have the RBA Governor Lowe speaking. Now, this is a good one because we've got a Q&A after this speech. And it's not uncommon for the central bank governor or chairman or president to come out the day after the statement and give them a few answers about what he's thinking. So this is where we could potentially see some sort of update on that on the Aussie with interest rates. And now, if he says interest rates, the next move is up, the Aussie will go up 100 points. I'm pretty confident on that. Outside of that, we've got to wait and see what the rest of the session or the day in the North American session is all based on the Canadian releases, the Bank of Canada Deputy Governor talking, and also the CAD-IB PMI. Now, the central bank speeches, you have to be flat for those. They are red. But don't forget, with that CAD-IB PMI, you need to be flat before it, but you can trade it as soon as it comes out. That means you can place pending orders in the market if you fancied it. All right, now, but overall, what else is going on? Well, you know what? Trading conditions are pretty normal. You know what? They're actually okay. We just lack momentum. And this is primarily because when the US dollar lacks direction and just drifts sideways, it makes it a little bit harder, okay? Because we're not getting individual news out of all these other locations. Like, we're not getting any out of Tokyo, and you wouldn't expect any. Canada, they're just waiting. Swiss, you wouldn't expect any out of Switzerland. Euro, well, Draghi gave us a bit of a speech about a week ago that growth was diminishing. We're still waiting to see that kick in. This is all about Brexit. Aussie and Kiwi, well, we've got the speech today, so that should give those potentially the Aussie and Kiwi some sort of direction. Okay, so that's where we are there, guys. Don't forget the 247 Trade Zone. If you do have a question or trade talk or want to discuss anything, don't forget you can jump in here. These are the most recent releases, or recent posts, I should say, and that'll give you some sort of guidance going forward. Now, outside of those releases, don't forget there are other potential releases coming out. So when you look at the, as I said, the next 24 hours, it is a little bit patchy. And once again, if I just scroll up a touch, you'll find that, we've got all this US data that just needs to come out or be scrapped. They need to tell us what's going on, because if they're going to release it, or just scrap it, we'll look for the next month's data. So when it comes down to important releases right now, we've got the CAD-IB PMI and that's it. So it's going to be pretty thin. So if you are trading, keep an eye on the pairs that you've been trading or you feel confident with. And that's where I come back to look at my overall outlook. I'm losing confidence in a lot of these. I think the Aussie's in limbo. That's why the RBA governor's speech today is important for the next sort of directional move. All right, guys, that's it from me. We'll keep you tuned up. Don't forget, click on the 247 Trade Zone for updates. And, that's pretty much it, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you later on. Cheerio.